Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexa, and if you are new here, hi. And if you haven't seen my other videos, you can check them out right after this one. I have one on making a corset and another one on tips and tricks on making a mood board. But in today's video, I will be sharing with you the top 5 things that I wish I knew before I started sewing or designing. This idea came from a subscriber who commented on my last video, so thank you for that. As for the second part of that comment, I'll make a part 2 to this video where I will share my top 5 essentials that I wish I had starting out. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. Here are my top 5 things I wish I knew. Number 1, practice sketching the fashion figure. I have always been artistic. Funny enough, the one thing that I hated drawing were people. So when I knew that fashion design was something that I wanted to do, obviously I knew the fashion figure was something I would eventually have to tackle. And just to give you a little background on me before we, really get deep into things, I never even thought about sewing or fashion design until I was in high school. So I don't have, that story that I see a lot of people having. Not me being like, oh my gosh, I'm different. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's okay to not have that story that you've always been into fashion, you always were dressing up as a kid, or, wrapping a sheet around you. It's fine. Like, you don't need to think that. But for me, I was constantly playing sports. I was either on a basketball court or a soccer field, and that's all I ever knew up until college. And the only artistic things I ever really did before college were, taking art classes in high school and middle school. That was it. So what I'm saying is that before college, I had never sewn a garment. I wasn't drawing regularly. I especially wasn't drawing people or the fashion figure. And to be honest, I truly really didn't know anything about fashion. So back to, number 1. I didn't practice sketching the fashion figure or really anything at all, but I had a lot of classes when I did get to school, where we were drawing for at least 6 hours a week. And then on top of that, we had homework assignments that would take hours. So in the beginning, it was very difficult for me, especially because I'm a perfectionist. And if something wasn't to my liking, I would completely redo it. So practice, practice, practice. Can't say it enough. Trust me, it is going to make your life easier. Everything will go quicker, those homeworks will go quicker, and after all of that, somehow able to get voted best in fashion illustration for my senior show. So yeah. Number 2, patterning. I'm not saying that you need to know everything about pattern making before you start, because that would take years to perfect. What I mean is I wish I had at least known the basics, like what a dart is, what it does, gathers versus pleating, what does the bodice pattern even look like. I mean, remember, I literally knew nothing before fashion school. So really just knowing the basics of typical patterns like the bodice, the skirt, and the sleeve, things like how to move or remove a dart, knowing the difference in the measurement between the armhole on the bodice and the sleeve cap on the sleeve pattern. I can't tell you how many times I was in the middle of sewing a garment and many things just didn't match because I didn't make my pattern right. And that's frustrating because, you have to go back and look at the pattern again, see what you did wrong, and then cut out that piece in fabric again. So perfecting the pattern will save you so much time in the process. There is a lot to know about pattern making, and I am still learning, of course. So if anyone wants some more in-depth pattern making videos, I can certainly do that. Just let me know in the comments below. Number 3, Photoshop and Illustrator. These are things that I had to teach myself because most of the classes that I had required, at least one of them, and on top of that assumed that we knew at least the basics of that, and of course I did not. So again, it was difficult to get the hang of all the different tools, but eventually it became easier, the more you practice. I still use Photoshop and Illustrator, mainly Photoshop. I now can't even imagine doing any part of the process without using one of them, so they're truly an essential. Especially when looking for fashion jobs, they want you to know how to use the Adobe Creative Suite, especially Photoshop and Illustrator. Number 4, fabrics. This is a hard one and I'm still not the best at it for sure, but again, just knowing the basics of fabrics, like which ones are easier to sew, which ones have an easier drape or stiffness, especially knowing which fabrics to use for certain garments. For instance, you're not going to want to use a heavyweight wool for a swimwear collection, or you're not going to want to use like an expensive silk for an activewear collection. It's just not practical. Just simple things like that. I took a fabric and fibers class in fashion school where we had to get this book. It's called Fabric for Fashion, the Swatch book by Clive, Hallett, and Amanda Johnston. This book is truly amazing, and there are all different kinds of swatches. I mean, everything you can think of or not even think of. They all come with an explanation, and I'll leave a link to the book in the description below, so if you want to check it out. Lastly, number 5 is you, and I left this one for the end because I feel like it is very important to remember, you know, whether you're just starting out or you're quite a few years into your fashion journey. So don't think that you need to create something that is completely new, because everything is pretty much out there. I'm not saying everything's out there, but what makes what you're designing new is you and the way that you design. You know, it could be the sustainable way of creating something, your signature style line or beading technique. Whatever it is or isn't, you'll find who you are as a designer eventually. I mean, I still am. So don't compare yourself to others. Everyone is unique in their own way, and just be confident in what you do, and that'll show through your work as well. And don't forget to have fun, because if you're not, you need to take a break, take a step back, and just come back to it later. You know, we all get frustrated, we all get artist block, and I struggled a lot trying to even come up with, you know, the perfect senior collection. And so I probably changed my idea like 5 times. I was up all day and night for weeks just trying to really figure it out and what I really wanted to do. I stopped thinking about it over our winter break, and the Sunday night before classes started up again, I completely thought out and designed my senior collection within that night, and I'm very proud of it. There's nothing wrong with stopping and taking a break. In fact, I strongly encourage it. Alright, so there you have it, the top 5 things that I wish I would have known when I was just starting out in sewing and designing. I hope that at least one of these things will help you out in your sewing journey. I hope that this doesn't discourage anyone in any way, because I know there's so much that goes into it. It can sound discouraging, but I promise it is a lot of fun. So again, if anyone wants some more in-depth videos of any of the 5 things or specific parts of them, then of course leave a comment below. I want to help y'all in any way that I possibly can. Part 2 of this video I'm hoping will be out within the next week or 2. I apologize for my inconsistency. I am in grad school, so I'm juggling a lot of different things. Not only am I in grad school, I run a blog, I run my online shop, and so a lot of things going on at once. So I am sorry. If you did enjoy the video, give me a thumbs up down below, comment what you would like to see next, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. But until next time, bye!